Hey guys, my name is Rudy, and this is the final part of getting your Windows all set up again once moving into the new machine. So here's the parts that you need to complete. If you go into My Computer, let's move this thing up over here. You go to My Computer, and you right click over, and you hit Properties down here. I already have it open over here. You will get this screen here. You will need to remember how I said to use Jelly Bean to get your product code. You will need that because the computer can sometimes forget, so you need to put your product key in here. This is not my product key, this is what the computer did to it. Okay, while I'm here, let's talk about, let's see here. Let's close this part out, and we're going to go into, I'm going to show you guys how to work with hard drives. You right click on this and you go into Manage. Manage will eventually open up here. Okay. Here we are. To manage your disks, it's Disk Management. I'll show you a couple steps in here. This is just some extra steps. These aren't necessarily for the Windows 7 moving. You click on it, it takes a little bit to populate. So, for example, this is my Windows 7 disk, the one we just installed. This right here is the second disk. This is the one I'm pulling the drivers from. This guy right here is a USB drive. This right here is one of the CD-ROMs. So some of the things you can do in here, for example, is right click over this, and you can do change drive letter. And for me, I'm going to make this one U. So change, select U. You'll get a warning about messing up programs. And eventually here it will pop up. Now my NVMe disk is not listed in here because Windows 7 doesn't have the drivers for it. Yep, there we go. Some of the things you can do in here, I'm definitely not going to mess this up again, but you can actually, you can do like this. You can do change drive letter. You could even format this drive. The only reason it's grayed out over here is this is the boot drive, so you can't format Windows that you're in. You can also delete the volume, delete the partition, and delete it that way, and you can make it. Also, what you can do is you can turn disks off and on. This is garbage. You can also turn disks off and on. So like right here, you can go disk, and you can do offline if you don't want this. This is what I will usually do with my NVMe or things I'm not using. You can turn them off here. You can also convert to a dynamic disk. More about libraries and stuff like that, if you really want to know, let me know in the comments and I will make a video about that. Now kind of back to where we were. I'll close out this. We don't need that at all. This is from a program. So what I did is My Computer, I did Properties, which resulted into this page again where that I showed you earlier, where you have your, like I said, your product registration. Now I'll have to activate this before 28 days or I will have some issues. But I want to go to Device Manager up here, which I did. My Device Manager is up here, and this is what we're working with. So, one bad thing about this setup of what we did is you will get these guys here. You will get a bunch of, let me move this over here to a different screen, make this a little bit easier to read. You'll get a bunch of these unknowns. So, for example, I'm going to show you how to look this stuff up. What you want to do is you want to open up your browser. So for me, it's Google Chrome. And while that's opening, I'm going to look at some of the stuff. So for example, of course, it's going to open up right here. but it'll make this a little bit easier. Now I already downloaded all these because I did this with the practice drive that I was working with earlier. Let's say, for example, performance counter. So this is an unknown device. It'll either say unknown device, or it'll say what it is, but it says they can't find the driver for this. We're going to go into performance counters, and I'm going to show you how to look this up. This applies to any unknown device or anything that has a exclamation mark like this. You right click over it, you click on properties, you go into details, and in here drop down to hardware IDs, take the first line, copy it, put it into your Google. The first one's fine. This is what we're looking for. Press enter, and the wild world of internet will show you. So obviously this is an Intel product, you can see that, and this is where some of the issues come in. It's a bit of a trial and error. So what you're doing here is, I already know that for this particular example, which is, these were hard to find, this is a performance counter, something that was brought in later, but Intel does have the drivers for it. You click on this. In this case, this one's coming from Dell, and you would download the driver, put it in your download folder. I already kind of did this, and that's going to be over here. So we'll just minimize, we'll pretend we downloaded it, and I'm going to go into my folder that I put it in, which is DRVs. There's several different ways to install these, and I will have to really remember what I did here. These are Ethernet adapters. Some of the drivers will install on their own, while others will not. This is the NVMe drive. We can look at that, but let's see if I can find what I did here. Host controller, that was USB. Performance counters right here. So what you can do is, let's look at the folder. I'm kind of bouncing between screens, so I have to kind of bring this stuff over. There we go. This is a chipset driver. Sometimes if it's got an exe like this, all it really takes is, it's sometimes good to unzip it, sometimes you can get away with doing it from here. I'm going to be installing chipset drivers. I accept this, and I want to install. Do I really want to install it? Yes, I do. This is the easy way. Some of the drivers, and I'm not going to go through all of them, it kind of depends on your setup. Ease this out over here. Close this out as well. Now, say for example, same thing here. I already know what these guys are, and I have some stuff already in here. So this is my, and you can see the performance driver, performance counters, going to disappear here shortly, and any other software that it works with here. Sometimes it'll do this and it will find itself again. And it warns me I'm about to install this product. I'm perfectly okay with that. I accept, I install. That's already running. Okay, so let me look at the device manager here again. Let me get too sidetracked here. And say, for example, Ethernet controller here. This may not be a good idea to do while we're doing. Okay, here we go. And look at that. They're gone. let's look at this. Let's see here. What's the best way to do this? Ethernet controller. Let's look at this one. So I want to go to properties again. You can do update driver. And here, this almost never works. Browse my computer. If you have a certain drive, like for example, if you know where your stuff is, like for example here, I have mine on the secondary Windows drive here, so I want to clear out C and go to D here, if you can see that. And I know my D folder where I put my stuff is called DRD. DRD. One of the difficult ones was apparently the Ethernet adapter here. Let's see what that looks like. Well, I don't want to get lost track here. So you would unzip the folder and say, for example, let's pretend that this is what we're looking for. Click on it, click OK. This is not going to work here, but sometimes it'll scan like this and it'll find what it's looking for and off it goes. This obviously was not the right stuff. Another way is to point it directly into it, and the last way of doing it is browse my computer and then let me pick my own. So here you can do all devices, and then you can point it again at what you're looking for. So if you have disk, point it to the directory that you have your drivers in. Let's see, I can show you this to you on this way. Let me find a random folder here. Click OK. And here you would have to pull what you are actually working with. Click OK, and you'll find your stuff. Guys, this pretty much completes my series on moving Windows 7 over. The journey's finally done. It's taken a long time. Appreciate all your patience. I learned a lot. I'm here to help you, so if you guys need anything on this, I know some of this video is a little bit dry. Let me know what I can do for you to help you with your Windows issues. Till next time, take care.